Student perspective. What about the teacher perspective, though? We've been speaking to many of them. What do they think about this? Leah Shields on your side, looking into what the new school year could mean for teachers, especially those, and there are many, with chronic illness.
Some families and students may be ready to ditch the homeroom and get back to the classroom at brick and mortar schools. But some teachers with chronic illnesses especially tell me that their home is their safe space. A teacher emailed her concerns to First Coast News, saying in part, many teachers are high risk. This includes teachers on immunosuppressants, with asthma, heart conditions, cancer, etc. It is a matter of life or death. The teacher did not want to do an interview out of fear of being fired, but she wants answers. President of Duval Teachers United, Terry Brady, says they're trying to get answers, but a new order from the Department of Education saying schools must open 5 days a week has shaken up their plan.
I think that's going to be a very difficult situation because of the population and trying to keep people social distancing and maintaining what the CDC is recommending and the health department is recommending.
She says the union is in constant contact with the school district, trying to get a plan in place.
The goal of the union is everybody stays employed, keeps their paycheck and their benefits, and that's where we are right now.
Duval County Public Schools spokesperson tells me that anytime a teacher is unable to do their job, that they will look into reasonable accommodations for disabilities, as well as the Family Medical Leave Act and other leave benefits. And in the next half hour, we'll talk about some of those other options teachers may have if they want to stay at home. In Jacksonville, Leah Shields, First Coast News on your side.